TikTok is for fun and for authenticity. That is the biggest feedback that I can give. If you think that those qualities define you, then I think it's a good platform for you to reach new patients.
Welcome to another episode of the ChiroCandy podcast. My name is Billy Sticker, founder and CEO of ChiroCandy, and this is going to be one of our Success Series episodes. And on the Success Series episodes, what it is going to be different leaders and directors from our ChiroCandy team doing different interviews, talking about what's working best for different clients and on different platforms. So without further ado, let's get on over into the episode. Enjoy.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to another episode of the ChiroCandy podcast. I'm your host, Matt Keenan.
Hi, I'm Liz. I am the TikTok director at ChiroCandy.
Yeah, we like to refer to Liz as the TikTok queen because she is all things TikTok. She's been with us since the beginning. So I guess a good place to start here, obviously we're going to be talking about TikTok. That's what this episode is about. We're going to be talking about we've been doing it since 2021, right? So there's a lot of things that have been changing, and you've been at the forefront of it. So just to start, tell me what it was like in 2021 to just dive into being the TikTok director for ChiroCandy.
Well, whenever I was first given the job in 2021, I wasn't even a user of TikTok. So I was offered the position, and I immediately downloaded the app and created my own account, and then kind of started from scratch and figuring it all out, just 0 to 100.
Oh, tell me about it. That's crazy. And that, because I know that part of that is like, I know that at that point, very few people were actually using the platform. Like I remember Billy or Brady, one of them was talking about how there was a survey done among marketing agencies in America, and they were asked, like, how many of you guys are going to use TikTok and add it to your services? And like 90, a staggering number. I don't want to quote it, but a staggering number was like, no, we're not going to touch it. And then that's when we jumped in and we were like, okay, well, we're ChiroCandy and we're going to do it. And Liz is going to be our leader, our fearless leader doing that. So that had to be a daunting task, a completely new platform, new to most people. Because even though in 2021, it was still, 2020 is when it blew up, right? But 2021, people were still, learning about it more and like reaching the older crowds, I guess. But how have things evolved and changed starting from 2021 to now? Like, tell me about like what that's looked like for you.
Well, it started out, and we had no idea what we were doing. We knew that our clients wanted to be on TikTok. They wanted to see what it was all about. Their clients were on the platform, and that's what we do. We serve them in the way that they wanted. So we jumped right in. Starting out, all we really had was our training that we had from other marketing companies, and they, told us things about it, but we still just kind of jumped in. The first thing I would think is that we realized that the targeting was a big issue in the beginning. We could only target by DMA, which is like a marketing
designated market area. Yeah.
Yes. I think maybe some of our viewers might know what that is even better than I did, but it's a very large population. And when you're doing local advertising, it was a big challenge for us. The way that we resolved it was we called out the area at the beginning of the video, and then we called out the area again in the lead form to make sure that the viewer knew what they were signing up for and where it was.
They're in the right spot.
Right. And then the second obstacle I think that we ran into was the fact that because we were in the chiropractic niche, we were what TikTok considered a medical product or area. Medical advertiser. So we needed a special account, but all of my efforts to get one were
thwarted.
kind of ignored and thwarted. That's a good word I think for it. But we kept pushing on. We kept making it work until they shut down all of our accounts. It was such a
I remember that.
nightmare.
I forgot about that. I forgot
Yeah.
about at one point they shut down all of our ad accounts.
They shut them all
Oh my.
down, and then I guess that's where they finally started to pay attention because we were like, "Hey, we're spending all this money with you guys, and we've been asking for help," and they finally swooped in and provided us a rep. Or, I mean, it was I think a longer drawn out process than swooped
Oh, it
in, but
was.
yeah, we finally were managed, and it was, and I would say that is that was the big hurdle for us. Once we were over that hurdle, things got a lot easier. Um,
Yeah. I mean, I remember it was rough at the beginning. I think how many people signed up in the first couple months? Like over 100, right?
Over 100, yes,
In the
and I
first couple months.
mhm. Yep, yep. That was quite the experience for like someone who's never been in a director's position before. Just kind of thrown into it. But I think that's where I earned my crown. During
Yes,
that
that's where
time.
she was crowned the TikTok queen because she was in the trenches with us, figuring
Yep.
things out that nobody knew the answers to,
No, there was
even
no
online.
trainings, no
No, there's no training,
YouTubes,
nothing.
no help. You could Google it, and the Google was like, "What? What are you talking about?
Yeah,
I don't
they're
know."
like, we're not sure what you're talking about.
Yeah, does not compute. But once we got over that hump, then the next hump was zip code targeting,
Yes.
which took a long time, um, and that was
Well, people
quite the
tell
journey.
for people who aren't familiar, like talk about it. Like, what do you mean? What do you mean by zip code targeting? Like, what was the
So
issue there, and how do we address it?
it's kind of complicated, and that some I don't even know the answer to why, but they were
Yeah.
very like they're very selective about who they would give this permissions to.
Right.
That you can only get given to you from the back end by having a manager approve you, and or I think for them it has to be approved too. And I thought at this point, because we've been doing this since 2021, as you said, I thought that this was a thing of the past, and now everybody got zip code targeting. But I talked to another marketing company the other day who said that they were turned down from zip code targeting when they reached out to support. Um, and so I did the best I could to help them. I sent them our rep's name or her email, but I don't even know for sure she got back to them.
Right. Yeah, because
But
I
I was
know.
very surprised to hear that. I thought that was over, but no, it's still a difficult thing for marketers to even get their hands on.
Right. That was the one of the big difficult hurdles that we had to jump through at the beginning is because at the
Hmm.
beginning, nobody was able to target in like specific areas because it wasn't just on Facebook. Obviously, you can just do radius targeting, you can do zip codes, you can
Hmm.
do whatever you want. But on TikTok, like you said, it was just DMAs. You just
Right.
had to target this huge region that was usually multiple states even, and like dipped in, I don't know, like a big
Hmm.
group of people, and then we couldn't figure
Yeah.
out like why they wouldn't let us be more specific. But then
Hmm.
because I remember when we started, I had some clients that were spending $20 a day and they were getting like 80 something leads a week.
Right. Hmm.
Insane numbers like that. Now, granted, they were not all from their state. But I remember we were getting insane numbers the first few
Yes.
months. And then
Yes.
things, I think TikTok can just kind of, I don't know, adjusted, I guess.
Yes.
Like there were some positive changes, some negative changes. They were just very new to it, I feel like. What are your
I
thoughts
feel
on
like
that?
we all were very new to it, and I think after 2020, during the pandemic, the app just itself kind of exploded. The amount of users like
Right.
tripled, and I think a lot of people were hearing like, "Hey, I'm on TikTok." Hey, a lot of people who wanted to connect with those people, and everyone was really excited about the platform. And it's not like the excitement's not there; it's just it's gotten more competitive, and
Right.
requires more from the people who are actually on the platform.
Yeah, like the honeymoon phase of their marketing platform
Yes.
is over. So
Yes.
now it's like, okay, now we really got to solidify who we are. We have to actually
Hmm.
compete with the competition other than relying on our newness. And that's definitely shown. But on
Yeah.
that subject, how comparing to like competitors and like the competition there with the platform, how different is TikTok in comparison to Facebook advertising?
So I think the biggest difference is kind of just goes back to what we just said, is that it really requires a lot more from the advertiser. Like you have to be more of a participant and a user to really be successful. Um, the ads that do best blend well into the platform, and it's hard to blend if you don't know what you're doing.
Right.
Um, and it's simpler in a way in that it's pretty straightforward on how to advertise than Facebook is. And then I would also say just there's a whole different population of people on that platform than there are on Facebook. And this is a feedback I've heard a lot. The leads are more responsive. Um, Maybe there's a little less than sometimes we see on Facebook, but more of them seem to answer and to be, and their names and their numbers seem to be more updated.
Yeah,
You
they're
know,
more chronically online than Facebook users.
yes, I think that's one of the main characteristic of a user on TikTok.
And
Uh,
guilty.
all right.
Girl, I know I had to step away from that after running ads on TikTok. I
Mhm.
kind of stopped being such an active user because it was just too
Mhm.
much for me.
Mhm.
But
Mhm.
it is a wild platform, a wild ride.
It is a wild ride.
I have nothing but respect for you for being in this position because it's one thing to learn Facebook ads and join a company and be taught everything that you need to know, and it's another thing entirely to be brand new to a platform, like not even been a user before, and
Mhm.
then not only learn the platform from a user's perspective but also learn how to translate those skills and translate how the language of TikTok into ads. Like that was yeah, that was a lot.
I have to say that it really plays on my strengths, and I give
Hmm.
the props to Brady and Billy for seeing that and knowing that I was the right person to put in the seat. Because I was definitely ready for the opportunity to take on a more serious role in the company. And I just I'm really good at pattern recognition, and I think that that was a big help for me in figuring out how
Hmm.
to overcome some of the obstacles that we ran into,
Right.
running ads out of nowhere.
Yeah, I couldn't imagine anybody else being you know charged with that task.
Oh,
Like
you're so kind.
that was you. But um so I've been seeing a lot more recently. I like I said, I hadn't been as active on TikTok until like the past couple of weeks. I just kind of, started playing with it again, like dipping
Mhm.
my toes back in because it scared me for a while. But I've been seeing a lot of people on their videos using CapCut. Can you tell us like what is CapCut? What does that look like?
I would say CapCut's like TikTok's cousin. Like they
Okay.
are related. They directly integrate. They're in cahoots, I would say. So as a user of TikTok, I think it's very important to, well, I say very important because there is an editor inside of TikTok. Technically, you could edit all your videos from inside of TikTok, but I'd say the only plus to that is being able to choose your music when you're editing because like a lot of those trending sounds will be on there, but sometimes you'll have to move it over to TikTok to be able to add some of the sounds. But the great thing about it is that it it you can even find a template that you like and then inside TikTok, click on it, and then it'll automatically open up CapCut
Oh,
from inside of
wow.
the app. Yeah, so that kind of gives you an idea of how closely they're,
So that's why
intertwined.
people are using it so much, because it's
Hmm.
so much easier. So then I guess
Yeah.
how tell us how regular everyday people or chiropractors, people listening to this podcast, how can they use CapCut in hand with TikTok to advertise? Like how can they use it as a tool?
Yes. So I would say some of the best, tools on CapCut is like these meme templates that they use. They actually have kind of like similar to TikTok, a For You page of meme templates. So
Oh,
you can just scroll through, and then you'll find them. They're like the little cutouts of funny scenes from movies or commercials sometimes. I mean, it could really be from anywhere. I think after the Olympics, it was the breakdancing lady,
the
the really
Australian.
one. Yes, yes. She's one that, and I saw
Oh.
one of my clients, create a, how we feel after we get adjusted at so and so, and she's like, like,
Stop. If you're
yeah,
listening to this and you don't know what we're talking about, look up Ray Gunn. It's Raygun. Ray Gunn. It's Rachel Gunn. She's a Australian break dancer at the Olympics. And that's all I'm gonna say. Just watch it. You won't be disappointed.
yes,
Or maybe you will be disappointed, but you might smile.
yes, yes, yes. No, not meant to poke fun, just a nice cultural relevant conversation. So I would
Absolutely.
say if you're trying to post regularly, which I mean, I think that this rule fits for like every situation, is that consistency beats quantity every time. And so if
Right.
we're trying to get consistently 2 videos a week, that's to me a great goal to shoot for. One that has like dense, like it has like value to provide your viewers. It's interesting, it's engaging. I mean, value needs to be, especially on the business forefront. You want to
Yeah.
provide value, especially
Value
if
paired
you.
with authenticity.
Right. Yeah. Value paired with authenticity. Yeah. And some people that comes naturally and some people it doesn't. So you want to try to like be flexible in finding out what works, what goes across well to people. But if you're trying to do that, but you don't always want to have to put a lot into all your videos. You pull up CapCut, you pick a meme template, and you throw it
Right.
over an image of the front of your office, and then you write a little funny caption to make people giggle. And then what they're seeing is not only are they good at what they do, but they got a sense of humor too, which
Right.
humanizes
Right.
you and makes you fun. I mean, I'd love to go to a business with a good sense of humor. Like
No,
that
I
gets
yeah.
me.
That's something that one of my clients, Dr. Michael Schulman, I actually previously interviewed him for this podcast. He's in Georgia, and he really got serious about doing video content, not just on TikTok but on Facebook. When I was his account rep for I think a year and a half, 2 years before that, and then I was like, listen, you really gotta buy into this. Like
Mm-hmm.
if you want to have this kind of success, you really got to buy into it and drink the Kool-Aid, which
Mm-hmm.
means video content. So he goes and he doesn't just start doing content, he hires a videographer to help him with his TikTok content, which
Mm-hmm.
is a huge, it's like a cheat code for TikTok because it's
Yes.
so hard if you're new to TikTok and you're not familiar with the platform or anything, you don't know what you need to do on TikTok.
Mm-hmm.
But if you hire a
Yes.
videographer that can make, for videographers, it can be very simple to edit these kind of videos.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And that's not to downplay videographers by any means. It takes a lot of skill and effort just to know how to make, like, something might be simple, but it's very nuanced. And
Yes.
a lot of videographers know and understand the nuance of TikTok. Like we have an amazing videographer on our team.
We
Videographer,
do.
she's an amazing. Kayla does a great job with our edits for all of our clients, and she
Yep.
knows and understands the platform so well. She can just take our clients' video
Mm-hmm.
content, the little clips, and she puts them together. She puts a relevant song. She adds ad text and a voiceover and everything, so that our clients are not having to edit these videos themselves and do something that they are completely unfamiliar with. But
Right.
with that, my client, Dr. Schulman, he hired this videographer and he was doing some videos about, the kind of treatments he had, knee treatments. We had a
Mm-hmm.
decompression table talking about semaglutide, things like that. But then he also had like 50% those, and then 50% of them were like personality videos of the office. And they would
Mm-hmm.
do these TikTok trends with their employees, and those were the videos that got the most
Mm-hmm.
views and what
Yeah.
got people into their ecosystem. And
Mm-hmm.
that's what generated people in their area actually paying
Mm-hmm.
attention to them. And the best part
Mm-hmm.
is, like, with those, I know, like, with the videos that he did that went viral, I can use those and use the engagement from those
Mm-hmm.
videos and get even better results. So
Right. Right. Yeah. Because if it connects to people organically, then it's guaranteed to connect to them in an ad setting, especially on
yeah.
TikTok, because we have display cards. So even though there's not a typical call to action on the video,
Mm-hmm.
um, it'll pull up the video, and like they're just scrolling and they see it's a funny video, and then a card will pop up and say, "Hey, we have an offer." So
Mm-hmm.
when they see that offer, they're like, "Oh," and they click on it. Maybe they don't commit to that offer, but now they know you're funny, that you're an office in their area, and that you have an offer that they can get if they want
Right.
to be a new client. Um, and maybe they wouldn't even take 2 seconds to look at it on Facebook. That same person, maybe.
Right. It's just different. But
It's just
with
different.
that, like, what I know at this point, like, you've worked with hundreds of our clients
Mm-hmm.
on TikTok and their platforms, and you've seen the ones that have been successful. You've seen the ones that have failed, and So my question is, what is the common denominator of all of the clients who have been getting the best results?
So I would say the common denominator is they use CapCut regularly to post. They give out a level of authenticity, which we discussed prior. It's very important. They they post consistently, and they respond to comments. Sometimes they respond to comments with videos. That's a really great way to get engagement. People
Yeah,
like to know that you're a real person behind the video. Um, so, and then another thing that I think is really important is, and you were just talked on it, incentivizing the person who's making the content, like paying them, seeing it as a position that's worth paying. I think across the board, like if we're cutting, the social media person is cut first, and I think um, it's mostly because we don't. I mean, times are changing, but the we have trouble like justifying the cost. But as
seeing the
someone who's
value.
done it, right, someone who's done it, it's quite an engaging um, job and position to edit video, to post, to think, to be creative. It does take a lot of mental space. So I do think that it's important to pay someone to do it, especially if you
Right.
can't do it yourself. I have had clients who are logged into their own TikTok, who post, you know, um, he'll have a client come in, the client will ask a question, he'll go, "That's a great question," and then he will record a video, and he just is a natural at videos. And then he can respond to comments and respond to the comments. That's great. But some people can't do that themselves. So I would say an other way would be to have, if you had someone who is your social media person, they were logged into it and you were logged into it as well. So that if there was something that they needed you to respond to, you could just pull out your phone and respond to that. You don't have to be the one always engaged.
Right.
That is not like, if you don't have the
Healthy.
mental space for that, right? But to be able to respond if necessary, I think is a really great way to be successful on the platform.
Absolutely. So ultimately, the common denominator is they are active.
Yes,
They're
yes,
they're an active participant in the platform.
right. Yep, they are
That's
using
awesome.
it, or they at least are logged into it. Like you don't have to scroll. You don't have to scroll,
Yeah.
or pay someone to be the one who's on there. You need someone who's familiar with the platform helping you on that.
Right.
Um,
It's a
it's like
big
being in on a joke. right? If you're not a user on TikTok, there's something about the joke that you're not in on it, and we can see it.
Yes.
I
You
can't.
said that
That's
like
as
so
best
calm.
way as I can describe it. Is that
No,
the
I think
users
that's
can
perfect. That's
see?
a perfect way to describe it.
Mm-hmm.
Because it's similar to that too. Because it's not just because most of the time, it's just an inherent thing about the culture that you don't
Mm-hmm.
realize until you show someone a TikTok and they just stare at you,
Mm-hmm. Right.
and they're like, "I don't get it," and you're like, "You're
Yeah.
not in on the joke."
Right. Yeah. I'm like, yeah, no, sorry, we can't talk. You don't have you're not as chronically online as I am. Bye. Just kidding. Just kidding.
But
I love people on and off of social media. But yes, that
right,
is the idea, is that we're all laughing at this joke, and you don't get it. And now you're trying to come on here and sell us stuff, like, and that
as if
it does have kind of a collective, we as users feel like we're in on something. I don't know.
yeah.
That's how I can describe it.
No, that's the best way to describe it. Thank you for that. I think I feel like I've learned a lot myself with this. Thank you so much for all that information. I guess, do you have any like final thoughts or one thing that you want our listeners to walk away from or walk away with?
Yeah, TikTok is for fun and for authenticity. That is the biggest feedback that I can give. If you think that those qualities define you, then I think it's a good platform for you to reach new patients or new clients, just in general.
Yeah. Well, awesome. Thank you. Thank you so much again. If you're listening to this and you have more questions, you can just go to ChiroCandy.com, schedule a call with us. We'd love to talk to you about what we have to offer and what we've been seeing and doing with our clients. We can talk to you more about specifics of like what it entails, us making videos for you guys, and how much we would actually need from you. But even if you're not going to be a client of one of ours, we hope that you got value from this podcast
Mm-hmm.
and that you learned something. I know that I learned something. So if I did, I'm sure that y'all did, because I've been using TikTok with Liz for the past few years as well. So on that note, thank you so much, Liz. You're awesome. And
Thank you, Matt.
thank you to everybody who listened. And I hope you all have a great week. Thanks for watching.